Hey guys, it's Moo, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Makeup Forever Pro Finish Multi-Use Powder Foundation. Every time. I have two of the colors. One I purchased from Sephora, and the other one I received as a press sample when I went to the makeup show in LA. So the two colors that I do have are 174 and 173. And I have both of them on my face. On this side is 173 and on this side is 174. I know it doesn't look like a huge difference because it is not a huge difference. It retails for about $34 to $36, I believe, and you can get this at Sephora.com. I'm not sure if it's available anywhere else. They come in a compact, pretty similar to the other Makeup Forever powder foundation, except you can't see the powder from the outside. The packaging does come with a breathable back or compartment for the sponge, and it comes with a pretty large mirror. I won't blind you, but yeah, see my mess? It comes with a pretty large mirror, so you can do your touch-ups or whatever. It has 10 grams of product. Pretty typical for the most part for foundations, for powder foundations. And it comes in, I do believe, about 16 shades, if I am not mistaken. It comes in a wide variety of shades, which is Makeup Forever is known for. They do cater to the very light and the very dark. And I've had this foundation for a while now, because I did purchase the one that I had for over a month now, and I've been using it on and off. And the claim is that it's a multi-use powder foundation that allows you to fully customize your finish and coverage level. It is formulated with exclusive biomimetic coated pigments. I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna Google it, and you can Google it too, and I'll leave the information down there. It's a breakthrough formula that can be used wet or dry. And with this one, they say when you apply it wet, you get a sheer finish, softer finish, and when you apply it dry, you get a fuller coverage, which is opposite of what would happen with any typical wet dry foundation. What I find is this is true only when you use a sponge. I've only used flat top brushes like this. This is from Dalium Tools, the 957, or I use this. It's gross, sorry. Kind of gross, okay, but I had to try it out. So with 174, and I'll try to get a close-up because the lights are so bright in here, so you won't be able to see. It looks very, very much lighter than it is. 174 is has a little bit more orange in the base or the undertone color. I'm not sure if you can see that, right? And 173 has a bit more yellow in it. It's not a super duper warm yellow. So in the pan, they almost look identical. None is lighter than the other. The undertones are just different. 173 is more yellow base, 174 is more orange base, but there's a huge difference when you are looking for a foundation powder or whatever foundation. You have to make sure you have the right undertone, because then everything could just look crazy. One thing I do love about it, is no matter how much I pile on, because when I'm testing it out, I pile it on just to see how my skin feels. I have normal to dry skin, mostly dry, and no matter how much I pile this thing on, it does not come off as looking cakey or feeling tight on my skin, like I'm wearing too much or kind of taking all the moisture out of my skin. It actually feels pretty lightweight on my skin, and it doesn't really feel like I'm wearing a whole lot of makeup even when I pile it on. And I would say it lasts me for a very long time on my skin. It doesn't have that patchy, you know, with certain powder foundations, it gets a little bit patchy in certain areas as the day goes by. I don't have this problem. It does start to wear off after probably about 7 or so hours, 6 to 7 hours. And it wears off evenly, which is good. My nose does get a little bit oily or misty, I don't have that problem until like the 5th hour, and then I start to notice a little bit of shine coming through. I do agree with the claims. It's not chalky. It's has a nice semi-matte finish. It doesn't have that dry matte or retro matte looking finish. It's a very soft matte finish. The consensus is I actually like it, and it's a product that I would probably repurchase, but I'm on the hunt for the perfect powder foundation, so I'll still be searching. I wish it was a little bit more full coverage. It gives me a really nice coverage, and you know, it helps with a little bit of my hyperpigmentation. But for a powder foundation, especially one that you can use wet and dry, it doesn't give as much coverage as I was expecting for it to give. So that's the only thing, but it is buildable. You can build it up to full coverage, but you'd be using way more product than if it had more coverage initially. I went over my face twice with it. You'll see that in the demo. And the first time I did it dry, and then the second time I went over it wet. Now, if you wanted to be sheer and you want to go over it wet, then you would do that without doing it dry first. But because of this video, I wanted you guys to see how it applied wet and dry. If I forgot anything, I'll leave it in the down bar. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Stay tuned for the demo that's coming out. I'm going to be doing the dry application first, and the first foundation I'm using is in shade 173, and I'm just dabbing and then buffing the product in. As you can probably see, it's a perfect match for my inner portion of my skin and the areas that are not bothered by hyperpigmentation. But after the product has settled in, then it becomes a really, really nice match to my complexion. And I find that on my complexion, it's not a very warm toned yellow, it's more cool toned. And that's one side versus the other side, and you can see the difference there with the dry application. Now I'm cleaning off my brush, and I'm going into the product 174, and I'm going to apply it on the other side of my face. And there you can see it's much warmer and it's much more orange, but it does a great job of kind of correcting my hyperpigmented areas, so it looks better on those areas, but it looks a little bit more bronzy on the inner portion of my skin, which would be a perfect summer color. In the pot, the product looks lighter than it actually is, and as you can see now on screen, it looks way lighter than it is in real life. Moving on to the wet application, I'll be applying some Fix Plus onto my brush. You can use water, which is better because it will prevent that layer of film on your product. So I'm going to apply that, and then I'm going to apply the product on my skin. You can see it applies darker when it's wet, and the color pretty much remains the same. It doesn't lighten up after it dries. It stays the same color upon initial application. Now I'm going to clean my brush to use the other shade, shade 173. I just used 174, but that didn't quite happen, as you are about to see. And that look on my face is devastation, because that's not Fix Plus. That, my friend, is Korean Spirit brush cleaner. Yes, pay attention. So I switched out my brush, and now I'm gonna first apply the product and then spray down with Fix Plus, and as you can see, it applies darker as well. And the dark application of 173 is beautiful against my skin. I really, really, really love it. As you can see, the finish is very smooth. It has a really nice coverage, and the application is easy. It's very lightweight, and as you can see, it did help to cover up some of my imperfections. That's 174, and that's 173 on that side. So I hope this review and demo was helpful, and if you'd like to see a tutorial on the look that I'm wearing, let me know. Bye guys, enough love.